Thank you very much, Pam. As you know, we're honoring our veterans today. So Brad, if you would come up right now. At this time, we're going to hear a few words from our son, Brad. And then I want to draw your attention to this picture on the table here. This is a picture of Tom Streef's father. And Tom will be addressing us a little later. So Brad, please come. Mike is on.
Well, good morning. It's an honor to come before you and talk about Veterans Day today. I'm sure some of you may be surprised that I'm talking about it. Some may even be more surprised that me and Coomba actually made it on time. The truth is that we were in such a rush this morning. I woke up, heard the baby screaming, and thought I was late. Ran in the shower, told Coomba we got to leave in 20 minutes, and we wound up here an hour early. So that's good news. I think that was God's blessing, though, with the weather the way it was and in our normal routine. So I think it worked out. Besides, it being an honor to speak for you today, I want to reflect on, the veterans that have served our great nation. And when I think of my time in service, the U.S. Army in the 1990s, I think about the men that I served with that went on to serve in Iraq and Afghanistan, the sacrifices they made. Some physical, some mental, and the few who actually did not come back. And I'm proud to talk to you about that, and I thank you for the opportunity. When I was researching this, I looked up what is a veteran. And I don't want to give you Webster's definition. I actually found something on Facebook, believe it or not, that I think sums it up quite nicely. It says, what is a veteran? A veteran, whether of active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, who someone at one point in their life wrote a blank check to the United States of America for an amount up to and including their life. Let's talk about veterans by the numbers. There have been roughly 42 million men and women who have served this nation during the time of war. Nearly 1.2 million have gone on to offer the ultimate sacrifice to this nation. A further 1.4 million have been wounded during their service. Roughly today, there are about 19 million veterans alive. That includes combat and non-combat veterans. The cost of service 20% of all suicides in America. Furthermore, about 18 veterans commit suicide every day. A big reason for that is PTSD, or post-traumatic stress syndrome. Approximately 15% of all veterans right now have an active listing as having PTSD. Furthermore, about 30% said they have suffered from symptoms of PTSD at some point in their life. This leads into the next topic, substance abuse in the veteran community. Because of the traumatic nature of their service, about 1 in 5 veterans say they have suffered and struggled with drug or alcohol abuse. But I don't want to paint a terrible picture about the state of America's veterans. There's some real positive things. When I researched this, I was impressed to find out that depression rates among the veteran community is actually lower than the general population. According to the VA, 11% of all veterans report symptoms of depression versus 12.3% for the population as a whole. There's pride in service. About 70% of our veterans have said that they have felt proud of their combat service and what they've done for the nation. And furthermore, expressed that these experiences have helped and strengthened them in their lives. Veterans in the workforce. Veterans have been described as being more disciplined than their civilian counterparts, being dependable, that they have the ability to make sound and decisive decisions, the ability to meet a variety of challenges. I was encouraged to find that the unemployment rate for veterans is actually 2.8%, which is significantly lower than the 4.1 or 2% of the general population. I want to take a second to paint a picture for you here. I'm going to read something I found in researching this, and it talks about a surgeon during the Civil War. And I don't say this to gross anybody out. I think it's worth mentioning here. This is a historian from the Battle of the Second Bull Run. This guy's name, his last name is Buys. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, so forgive me, buddy. Buys says it would have been a terrible scene. He's describing the Second Bull Run from the battle, he says. Over 100,000 soldiers had trampled, shot, exploded, eaten, and burned everything in sight. And so the water was tainted. Every single house and barn was occupied by wounded soldiers. And these surgeons had very little to work with. What they did have was a standard surgeon kit with a variety of saws and maybe some chloroform to knock their patients out, says Buys. And if you can imagine sitting with a horrific wound of your own and hearing the moans and the screams and seeing a growing pile of limbs from the surgeon and knowing that your turn was coming, I can't possibly imagine what that would have been like. And like I said, I don't say that to gross anybody out. I think that paints a great picture of the sacrifice of all the veterans that have come before us. And today we want to mark that, and we want to let the veterans know. I don't know how many veterans we have in here. Raise your hand if you're a veteran. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a pretty good turnout in terms of the general population of the church. But I want to let you know we recognize your service, your sacrifice, and your commitment to this nation, and we thank you for that. Now at this time, we're going to ask the sound guy to play taps. That way everybody can reflect on this sacrifice. Go ahead. And finally, I'd like to quote the Bible. John 15:13 says that there is no greater love than he that lays down his life for one's friend. Sacrifice. Thank you to all our veterans.